today's episode of the SE Sherm podcast, Putting the Human in Business. I'm your host, J.R. Rollenhorst, Technology Director for Sioux Empire Sherm, alongside my co-host, Jessica Williams, Secretary for Sioux Empire Sherm. This podcast is part of the SE Sherm chapter, the premier organization for HR and talent professionals in the Sioux Empire, Midwest, and beyond.
Hi everyone, JR coming to you here alone today. Jessica is not with me, but thought I'd do a recap of a handful of different HR articles that I've seen lately, give everybody a little bit of an update and stay in the news if you haven't been able to catch up yourself. I think some of the biggest news is a recent slew of layoff announcements. Reading here an article from HR Brew, speaking about AI, of course. This year could be the one really remembered for layoffs. UPS cutting about 48,000 workers. Amazon's looking to lay off 30,000. Those have already started as of today, November 5th. Paramount and Target are each eliminating 1,000. U.S. companies conducted 13.8 million layoffs and discharges in 2025 as of August. So that's up 3.5 million in May and 4.6% jump from August 2024, a year ago. AI, I think, is definitely playing a piece of this. There's, pending recession. Doge has flooded the market with talent. There's a variety of reasons some of these could be going on, but it's surprising how many companies are saying it's not because of AI. Maybe it was just time for the regular layoffs that come every few years, but pretty interesting how many companies are not uh, saying it's due to AI, but I think time will tell. 2026 will definitely be an interesting year. IBM is eyeing some layoffs as well. Could be upcoming probably this year. They have a target of 1 to 3% reduction. So they have, oh gosh, 270,000 workers at the end of 2024. So 1 to 3% as of kind of where they're at now, looking at 2,700 to 8,100 workers could be affected with these changes. So company stocks are up 40% for IBM, but yeah, maybe this is an attempt to continue driving that up. Who knows what it'll do, short term or long term. It's funny how the stock market works, but that's the world we live in. So, anywho, that's a little more update with IBM and layoffs. American Airlines, don't think I mentioned them in the list just a moment ago. Uh, they're having record revenue, $13.7 billion, even though the company posted a $114 million net loss, 114 million out of 13 billion. Not sure that's obviously it's of concern. That's a lot of money, but when you're looking in the billions, mixed third quarter report, kind of going both sides there. But they are in talks of potentially having 4 to 5% of its workforce reduced. This could translate to 5,000 to 6,500 jobs at American Airlines. So interesting too with the government shutdown. Just saw another recent article with limiting air traffic and airspace. So that I wonder might play a little bit into effect with who knows how long that government shutdown will continue. But American Airlines is definitely part of that as well. Uh, no surprise here with these layoffs, with this tough market, seems to be getting even a little bit worse going into as we round out the year here and get towards 2026. Class of 2025 has said they are seeing the effects of a tough job market. No surprise here. I know some of my professors I've talked to said this is by far the worst year in 10 years for some of those graduate students coming out to find jobs. It's been extremely difficult and definitely a struggle for them. So they are definitely exposed to those changes brought about by artificial intelligence. The research is leaning a little bit that way, and Yeah, if you know of students in need looking for internships, anything of that where your employers might be interested, there's definitely a demand, and consider how they will fuel our future talent pipelines. So I know the communities does really well at getting those students into the workplace and getting different types of internships. So definitely want to encourage any and all employers to look at that. I'm sure there's more than enough willing applicants that could help out your organization. So let's see what else. What else? What else? Amazon. Not sure I want to beat a dead horse here. They've obviously had some large layoffs, cutting 14,000 jobs. However, they are getting some criticism on debate over, the culture and HR accountability for doing this. And they've come out saying it's not really AI driven, at least not right now, at least. That's coming from CEO Andy Jassy at Amazon. Not sure I understand that. How you say it's not really AI driven, not right now at least. Well, the cuts happened right now, so not sure how that could be a future occurrence to reference, but unless there's more cuts coming in the future, who knows? Uh, but yeah, there's also a big upskilling going on at Amazon. And so pretty interesting that 14,000 had to be cut when they are looking to upskill. I'm wondering how much talent was let go during that. That could have been repurposed, redeployed, upskilled, or maybe not even needed to be upskilled if they did have more of a skills approach as an organization to see where these individuals could be replaced or placed elsewhere in the organization would be interesting. That we can say for another podcast talking about a skills organization. That's a whole nother animal to unpack. But I wouldn't doubt Amazon is looking into that or has tried some of those strategies and certainly have data behind all of their decisions. So we'll see what happens as more of the we hear more about Amazon. But another headline here saying Amazon's corporate layoffs are expected to target 30,000 workers. So we might only be about halfway done. That's pretty unfortunate. Might stop, less than that, but this is coming from the HRdigest.com. 10% of cuts in corporate staff, more cuts on the horizon. So yeah, not looking too great there. Kind of interesting to see where AI is going to replace some of this, and if it is just one of those quote unquote standard downsizings that you see at a lot of companies as markets shift and the pendulum comes back every number of years. More to come on that. I'm sure we'll touch base in the next month or two or three as we get into 2026 and see how the markets and job markets are doing at that time. With that, Amazon, as I said, here's another one from HRDive.com. They're announcing $2.5 billion upskilling initiative right before these company cuts. Pretty interesting right there. They're really announcing their Future Ready 2030 plan, which is that $2.5 billion commitment that they're looking to do. So, and this is coming, was published actually October 23rd, or this, the announcement was by Beth Galetti, the Senior Vice President of People Experience and Technology at Amazon there. So, Amazon also said it would expand its career choice program to all salaried workers in the U.S. Hourly workers already had access to the program, which helps employees obtain degrees, certificates in demand fields, so on, the company said. But less than a week later, Amazon announced that it will cut the 14,000 jobs. So, the company also said it would focus on internal hiring for open positions by those affected by the cuts. Not sure how that's going, but I'm sure we'll see more in recent headlines. A lot of the HR News coverage will be sure to pick those up. That's definitely hot headlines right now. So hopefully those individuals will find some new opportunities soon, any of those that are affected. All right, I think we can turn the page a little bit, maybe in a related transition here. article posted from or at hrexecutive.com, rebuilding hiring and what HR leaders can learn from Google. So this has to do a little bit more with how Google has, instead of relying on traditional markers of achievement, Laszlo Bock, if some of you may remember, he joined Google as CHRO in 2006, and he inherited a hiring system built on pedigree, achievements, grades, SAT scores, things of that nature. So they really took a data-driven approach to their hiring. Actually, 300 different variables in this hiring experience that they use to predict employee performance. That's the ultimate goal of selection, of course, is to predict whether or not this individual that we're interviewing, selecting, screening is going to perform on the job. And so this Laszlo Bock's approach really represented a shift from credentials to capabilities, really paving the way, I think, for other organizations to follow in suit. And so I know I have read Laszlo Bock's book. It's called Work Rules. Highly recommend it to any of you out there, and really paints a lot of good pictures of some of the most effective things you can do within an HR department, from recruiting to performance management, and so on. So would highly encourage that. But hrexecutive.com has a great article too, recapping a little bit of that and touching on that as uh, more recent times, since it's the book's been out for a number of years now, but really great read. Couple other news here, and I'm going to save some of the best for last. So Culture Amp, some of you may use, hopefully all of you know, more of a survey platform for the most part, but they are expanding their AI coach with the platform. It's amplifying manager impact and ushering in a new era of AI-powered leadership. So Culture Amp's AI coach expands their platform wide. They use people science and 1.5 billion plus workplace data points to transform how managers drive performance. So 1.5 billion workplace data points. I want to say that again. That is a lot of data. Yeah, wow. Still just a little pullback from that, but I've always been a fan of Culture Amp. Very strong on their people science, their platform, and no surprise here that they're really pushing more of the AI approach and the AI coach to enable and assist managers, that leaders that use the platform. A little bit more here from the article. Managers spending an average of 210 hours a year on performance management. Yet, less than 40% of managers trust their current process, and a mere 6% of organizations feel they're making meaningful progress harnessing data and evidence to capture the value of employee performance. That's a quote from or citation from Gartner, came out of 2020, as well as Deloitte in 2025. So both those organizations do pretty extensive research and are usually some of the best sources for that. A little bit more here, meanwhile, and this is more from Culture Amp's benchmark report just this year. Just 50% of employees report seeing positive change after engagement surveys. Me, myself, having worked in the engagement world and the survey world, I can attest to this as well. I've worked both internally and externally on lots of different engagement surveys. Externally, with the clients I had worked at, typically saw a much higher rate than that 50%. But internally, some of the organizations I've worked at, no surprise there to see only 50% seeing positive change. Many will sometimes get in a rut of just continuing the survey, get stagnant, not really having a lot of focus, or probably one of the biggest opportunities I see with so many organizations and engagement surveys is the speed to change. There's so much low hanging fruit, but as long as it can be acted on quickly, literally within 2 weeks after a survey closes, that's where you'll see the most positive change from an organization. Really trying to get that survey on a semi-annual basis or even quarterly to really have a more frequent pulse of your workforce. Highly recommend that as well too. But I digress. And so I think I'll leave that one here for this is at hrdive.com talking about Culture Amp. So exciting to see where that goes. Always happy to stay up on the engagement world. Definitely near and dear to my heart from my days at IBM Connexa. All right, a couple more articles here before we wrap up. This one's coming from SHRM.org. Ban the box laws continue to spread. What HR needs to know. This one just came out on Halloween a few days ago. Always happy to see these. I think of ban the box similar to, um, oh, what would you call pay transparency and how many states are really uh, taking the bull by the horns there. But ban the box laws, hopefully all of HR professionals know, but for those business leaders, business owners, CEOs that might not be as close to the HR profession, these are really the ban the box movement, if you will, is referring to job applications, and the question that would often ask is, do you have a felony in your past or something to that effect? And so believe majority of states now have banned that question to help reemploy some of these individuals and not have some of that bias come into play during the recruiting process and automatically disqualifying those individuals. So these laws are now covering federal contractors and private employers across many jurisdictions. Uh, yeah, they prohibit asking about criminal history on job applications. So, giving individuals that extra chance, certainly within a war for talent, although we're seeing layoffs and we've probably turned the corner on that and the pendulum is swinging the other way. Um, I know having worked in different organizations, different industries with different white collar and blue collar workers. Um, Always been a fan of banning the box and getting more individuals back into the workplace. Really helps with individual purpose and that type of growth for your workforce. Let's see. Not much more to say on that. All right, one more, and then I'm going to get to my key article for today. So this one's future focus. This is still coming from SHRM.org. NVIDIA surging, of course. No surprise there. NVIDIA became the first company to surpass a $5 trillion market capitalization. I'm going to repeat that, $5 trillion, as its shares hit new highs. The surge is anchored, of course, in strong artificial intelligence demand with a pipeline that includes an expected $500 billion in AI chip orders. And they plan to build 7 U.S. government supercomputers and a $1 billion stake in Nokia to collaborate on creating 6G for our cell phones. So, for those of you that might not be as familiar with NVIDIA, typically we're more known in the past for making video cards for laptops, computers, for gaming computers, most often. But they had pivoted, and although I believe they still do that, but they make the chips that work and help run ChatGPT and other AI platforms. So they are positioned very well for creating the hardware that is required to all the processing power for ChatGPT and others to generate their content with those large language models. So compute power has become the strategic bottleneck, obviously, for AI, and that's how NVIDIA got it. It's concentrated in a few hands, and so um, they definitely have some pricing power and some geopolitical scrutiny. I think haven't seen much of them in the news other than one I think we just talked about on the last podcast was their CEO had said, yeah, with all the white collar impact from AI, future millionaires are possibly going to be the plumbers and electricians in the world. So might be something to think about when you're thinking about your career path or guiding your children down certain pipelines. All right. Now, the big one, the good one, the last one that I want to cover for today, and there's a couple points to this. This one comes from hrmorning.com. Love this one, but 12 HR horror stories that will make you laugh out loud. All right, gonna rip through these pretty quick. First one. Oh gosh, we had a nurse who was doing a ride along one time. She said, "Pull over." She ran into the woods. She was gone for a while. She got back in the car with no pants on and no underwear either. Uh, Poor thing didn't say a word for the 20-minute ride back to the home healthcare office and just placed her clipboard over her lap. So, kind of a little awkward silence there in the car. The mentor and mentee had no clue what to do or say as they drove up to the office. Mentee simply got out of her car, walked through the parking lot, got in her car, only to never be seen again. I guess you could say she really stunk up her interview. No, that's not my bad joke. I'm reading it right from the article, so I'm not going to take credit for that zinger. All right, number two of this countdown of 12, pointing back at you, is what this one's called. Once I met a CEO of a new startup that was hiring head of talent. He shared with me that their biggest pain point in their hiring process was poor candidate experience. Then he ghosted me, and I never heard from him again. Hmm, not too surprising there. Oh, we could have a whole episode on ghosting, both from the employer side as well as the job seeker side. All right, number three in this three of 12, teeth fall out. So, CEO here, strategic recruiting firm and human capital consulting firm, shares this one from one of her team members. She remembers a time when it was looking for data entry clerks. One of my candidates' teeth fell out during the in-person interview. She told me she didn't have any more denture adhesive and didn't have time to grab it before her interview. So, well, I guess it happens. Number four, unwanted packages delivered. Unfortunately, had to let individual go due to performance issues. They did not leave amicably or noticeably upset. Around a week later, we received an unmarked package. Come to find out, this person sent our office poop. Yes, you heard that right. Poop. P-O-O-P, poop. This also happened to another office, so we had to close down every U.S. office until all the poops were delivered. Needless to say, we were working remotely for about a week. That's definitely some dedication to package that up and send it off. Wow. Some individuals, not sure what more to say on that. Number five, what not to do on Zoom. All right. So I have joked that I could easily give a Zoom tutorial on what not to do. I've seen some bad camera angles. The worst were I had a full view of a candidate's nasal cavity. Another candidate who interviewed for a position that required attention to detail and comprehensive organizational skills took the interview from a dorm room. The bed was unmade, closet door was open, hangers sticking out. Might have been the candidate's better closet, but it was an unusual and not very professional backdrop for a job interview. Not sure that's too much of a horror story, but we'll keep going. Number six, creepy thank you gift. I had a Oh, the video here or the visual, pretty funny. At a previous at a previous job, director of recruiting came to me totally freaked out. Said an applicant sent him a strange thank you gift. It was a custom toaster. It looked regular, but it made toast with his picture on it. The candidate would have had to pull his LinkedIn profile picture, had the toaster made, and had it delivered the day after the interview. Wow. These are rather lifelike too. Pretty interesting to see. Uh, yeah, these pieces of toast with pictures on them. Didn't know that was an option. Number seven, when HR is the lead in the HR story. All right, once I interviewed with a startup and the majority of their engineering team was barefoot with their feet on their desks when I did the office tour. Another time went in for a group interview for a startup in San Diego. Spent a few hours showing us around in their fancy office, presenting stats, big set of screens in a room, telling us why we should join, only to tell us that the role we were being considered for didn't offer any pay. Why not? Take the job anyway. I'm sure that won't bother anybody. Number eight, nervous Nellies. One lady was so nervous she peed her pants during the interview with me, and another was mid-sentence, and she took floss out of her purse and started flossing her teeth. Yeah, can't say I've ever heard that one, flossing during the interview. Yeah, not much more to say there either. Number nine, the fire-breathing candidate. One time I was interviewing someone via Zoom. The fire alarm started going off in the building they were in. I told them to get themselves to safety and we could reschedule, but they were insistent on staying on the call. They carried me through the building to the exit, with everyone else also evacuating and fire department rushing into the building. So, yeah, well, I guess that's dedication for staying on the call. Number 10, a reference you'll never forget. Had a candidate put down his drug dealer as a reference for him. What's the problem? I'm not seeing it. The dealer's name was Opie. Not even joking here. You really can't make this up. And when the application asked what their relationship was, he listed drug dealer. Well, A for effort and for honesty. I'm guessing they're not making it up. So, uh, yeah, they probably didn't get the job, but yeah, nice to know they're transparent. Number 11, HR guilty as charged. All right. I had a candidate who prepared a few hours ahead for a head of product role, only to call me after to share that majority of the interviewers were on their phones or multitasking during her presentation. Not sure I understand that. We also worked with a head of people who showed up 20 minutes late to a 30-minute meeting and then told us she only needed 2 minutes of our time. Well, there's some time management for you. Number 12, no clowning around. Last one on the list here. I was attending an engineering school career fair, and an applicant came to their pre-scheduled interview dressed head to toe as a clown, full makeup and costume. Company had been under a microscope for interview bias, and I had to conduct a full interview. Well, not sure if they got the job, but yeah, another A for effort right there. So, all right, that was from hrmorning.com. If you want to find that article, read a little bit more into it, it's HR horror stories. But thank you all for joining today. I want to give you a little update, recap on the news. Hopefully that helps if you weren't able to catch up on your own. Again, be sure to catch us every first Tuesday of the month for the SE Sherm podcast. We'll be coming back to you with another guest, another topic, and keeping you up to date in all things HR, talent, and business in the Sioux Empire and beyond. Thanks, everyone. Well, have a good day.